You were so close. Maybe you had the interview lined up, the project almost done, the relationship finally going well. And then, out of nowhere, you blew it. You procrastinated until the deadline passed. You picked a fight for no reason. You quit the day before the finish line. And the worst part, you knew you were doing it. You watched yourself do it. And you couldn't stop. This isn't weakness. This isn't laziness. What's happening inside you is far more fascinating, and far more heartbreaking, than either of those things. Let me show you what's actually going on. Your brain has one job above everything else. Not to make you happy. Not to make you successful. Its number one job, the one it has been running since the day you were born, is to keep you alive. And to do that, it tracks one thing obsessively: safety. Now here's where it gets interesting. Your brain doesn't measure safety the way you think it does. It doesn't look at your bank account or your goals or your 5-year plan. It measures safety by asking one question: does this feel familiar? Familiar equals safe. Unfamiliar equals threat. That's the entire system. So when you start getting close to something new, a promotion, a healthier relationship, a version of yourself you've never been before, your brain doesn't celebrate. It panics. Because that new thing, no matter how good it is, doesn't feel familiar. And unfamiliar, to your nervous system, feels exactly like danger. So it pulls the emergency brake. And that brake has a name: self-sabotage. Think about the last time you were on the edge of something big. Maybe you'd been working toward it for months. And then suddenly you couldn't focus. You started sleeping too much or not enough. You picked up an old habit you dropped. You started a pointless argument. You convinced yourself you weren't ready, that maybe next month, next year, after one more thing. That wasn't procrastination. That was protection. Here's something most people never realize. Self-sabotage almost always gets louder the closer you get to success. Not at the beginning when things are hard. That's when motivation is highest. It's right before the breakthrough that the resistance becomes almost unbearable. Like your brain is screaming, "Turn back. This is too far from everything I know." And there's a psychological reason for this that goes deeper than fear of failure. In fact, most self-sabotage has nothing to do with fear of failure at all. It's fear of success. Stay with me here because this sounds backwards. Why would anyone be afraid to succeed? But think about what success actually means to your brain. A new identity, new expectations, new relationships, leaving behind people and places that defined who you were. And somewhere deep inside, a terrifying question: what if I get everything I wanted, and I still don't feel okay? That question is unbearable. So the brain never lets you find out. It keeps you stuck in the comfortable misery of almost. Almost ready. Almost there. Almost. There's also something called your upper limit. Gay Hendricks, a psychologist who studied this for decades, found that every person has an internal thermostat for how much happiness, success, and love they believe they deserve. And the moment life starts exceeding that limit, when things get too good, the brain automatically turns the temperature back down. Through an argument, through getting sick, through making a mistake at exactly the wrong moment. Not on purpose. Automatically. So how do you fix this? Because here's the thing, knowing about self-sabotage isn't enough. Understanding it doesn't make it stop. You've probably already figured that out. The shift happens when you stop trying to fight the resistance and start getting curious about it. When the urge to procrastinate or quit or blow something up shows up, instead of judging yourself, you ask, what am I afraid this success is going to cost me? What old version of me am I protecting? Who told me, somewhere back in my story, that I didn't deserve this? Because the pattern always leads back to a belief. A belief you formed before you had the words to question it. A belief that says, people like me don't get to have this. And the truth is, that belief kept you safe once. In a world where standing out was dangerous, where wanting too much led to disappointment, where success meant losing the people who loved you as you were, shrinking made sense. But you're not that person in that world anymore. You just haven't told your nervous system yet. Success doesn't require you to be fearless. It requires you to keep going while the fear is screaming. To recognize the self-sabotage pattern for what it is, not a character flaw, not proof that you don't deserve it, but a nervous system that loves you so much it's still trying to protect you from a danger that no longer exists. The most successful people aren't the ones who never self-sabotage. They're the ones who learn to spot it early enough to whisper back, I see you, I know what you're doing, and we're going anyway. The finish line was never the problem. You were just waiting for permission to cross it. And that permission was never going to come from anywhere but here.